Hello, everybody. My name is Kelly Harvey, and I'm the CMO here at EventsAir. Thank you so much for joining us today for our live demo on AI for the modern event planner. Today, we'll start off by briefly talking about how EventsAir approaches AI with our CTO, Mehdi Khalili. We'll then move on to the live demo where you'll see our suite of AI-powered assistants in action, and we'll finish up with some future vision from our VP of Product. But before we dive in, some housekeeping. We are recording this session, and we will send the recording out to you all within the next day or two. Additionally, all of our speakers are online and ready to answer any questions that you may have, so pop them into the Q&A box as we go along. Now, let's dive in. First up, we have Mehdi Khalili, our CTO here at EventsAir. Mehdi, thanks so much for joining us. Can you talk to us a little bit about our approach to AI here at EventsAir?
Yeah, sure. I guess before I get to AI at EventsAir, I just share some observation around AI in SaaS in general. There is a lot of pressure, I guess, for SaaS companies to add some AI in. Everybody wants to have some AI features, and it's very easy to fall for just tick the box and kind of have some AI for AI's sake. This is very much against how we go about AI at EventsAir. In fact, so much so that it's one of the key principles in our AI strategy that we don't want AI for AI's sake. Everything that we do internally, kind of using AI internally at EventsAir and within the product, has to be AI that solves a real problem. So to get to kind of what these problems are in the event industry, we ran a very thorough research where we looked across the entire event management and event planning industry, not just software, but just generally speaking, what are some of the key challenges and pain points that event planners deal with on a day-to-day basis to make sure that we ground our AI solution on top of those problems to make sure that we're solving real problems and not go for AI's sake. The other consideration was AI is new technology and new innovation. And every time you have a new innovation, there is this hype cycle where kind of there is adoption happens at different places and at different pace. And we need to understand kind of how event planners are adopting AI or how or why they're not adopting AI so we can build these solutions in a way which is aligned with the way that event planners see and use AI.
You've mentioned grounding it in real life problems that event planners are experiencing and their pain points. What are some examples of that?
So we ran a very in-depth research and several things came out, but there were three key problems which seem to put a lot of stress on event planners. The first one is around staff shortage, and planners don't seem to have a lot of capacity compared to what they're expected to deliver. So some event planners, it's just a team of one, or if they have larger teams, there is a lot on. So this is one of the things that we do in Air Intelligence is how do we help event planners with that staff shortage? So Comms Assistant, as an example, helps event planners write high quality comms aligned with their tone of voice very quickly. Or Planner Assistant, there are a lot of use cases in Planner Assistant that allows event planners to be more productive and more efficient in how they work. The second key pain point is kind of a combination of lower budget, higher cost. The cost is growing across venues and speakers and food and beverage and everything, as well as the higher expectation around return on investment. And again, we're thinking about how do we build these use cases in Air Intelligence that allows our event planners to generate more revenue, as an example. So one of the use cases in Planner Assistant, as an example, is to analyze trends from the previous year to see kind of what worked and what didn't work in the previous year's event, to figure out how you launch your marketing campaign or registration campaign, or how and when you send your comms out to get higher traction in terms of your registration. And then the third pain point is around attendee expectations. I go to events and sometimes I feel a bit lost of, I don't know, there are 300 sessions to choose from and 2,000 people. And I want to kind of meet with like-minded people. And I want to make sure that I attend the sessions which are more aligned with kind of what I'm interested in. If you know that I am maybe the CTO of EventsAir and I'm passionate about AI, then we can leverage AI to actually build a personalized agenda or personalized networking experience for me as an attendee. And that's a scope for Attendee Assistant. And there are some use cases already implemented in there where you can ask it. I can ask that I am the CTO and which sessions I need to attend or who should I meet. And Attendee Assistant can actually reason about it and make recommendations which are fit for my interests. But we're also building that into a solution that as a planner, you can tick a box and AI will just take care of that hyper personalization for attendees.
That sounds really good. And part of that industry research, we found that event planners are really using AI for two key things. It's either
Yeah.
that content production and generation, that seems to be the biggest and easiest way for people to dip their toe in the water and start using AI. And we're also seeing some event planners are using AI for some data analysis, and we're seeing more of an uptake there, but at a more gradual pace. And the research also found that one of the key things that hold event planners back from really embracing AI and using it in all parts of their business is concerns around data and security. How are we addressing that at EventsAir?
Yeah, it's interesting you touch on that. The survey that we ran came back where planners say that they're concerned about security and privacy. And I'm kind of glad that they're concerned about it. Like, this is a very serious consideration, particularly when it comes for AI and data use for training AI engines. So I don't expect planners to be security specialists to be able to leverage AI. I know that some solutions expect people to use ChatGPT or Claude to kind of use AI for their event planning. But that's one of the reasons we are embedding AI into the platform. I don't, taking a step back from AI in general, I personally don't expect event planners to be web developers, as an example, to be able to use a web platform being EventsAir. Likewise, I don't expect them to be, I don't know, security specialists or AI engineers or integration managers to be able to wrangle AI and kind of build good prompts, make sure that they're not causing any data breach and so on and so forth. So we've taken all of that into account and we've embedded AI into EventsAir, taking into account security, governance, and privacy, as well as making it simpler and easier for event planners to use it without having to worry about how do I make this work the way that I expect it to. That skill is all built into Air Intelligence.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mehdi.
My pleasure.
Next, we're joined by Tom Gray, our AI transformation lead. Tom is going to step us through our 3 AI-powered assistants.
Hi everyone, my name's Tom. I'm the AI transformation lead here at EventsAir, and here to show you a little bit around Planner Assistant, which is our new agentic AI-powered assistant that sits on top of EventsAir and basically gives our customers the ability to interact with their event and their event data in a really meaningful, easy way, just using natural language. For those of you who don't know EventsAir well, it's an end-to-end event management platform with a lot of depth and breadth to what it can achieve. It's everything from pre-event invites and registrations and confirmations through to on-site check-in name badges and post-event summaries. And it's across all of the different stakeholders that you'd manage at your events. Your attendees, obviously, but also speakers, sponsors, exhibitors, even AV technicians and the catering team. And what that means is EventsAir has always been a sophisticated platform with a lot of data points. And planners, it's always been really good at giving planners the ability to manage all of that complexity that comes with a sophisticated event like that in one place with automation built in. And what I'm really excited about Planner Assistant is it adds an additional layer of flexibility, giving planners the ability to go and interact with all of that complexity in a natural language model, just actually talking to it, asking it questions, ideating, and getting great insights out of the platform. So let's jump in and have a look. I'm in EventsAir. As you can see, I've got all of my events here that I'm working on. And I'm going to click this button up in the top right for Planner Assistant, which opens up the tool. And in here, I can ask it really anything I need to about any of my events, and it's going to know where to go to get that information. So let's start. I'm going to get it to look at my registrations from Airtime 2025, which is last year's event, and I'm going to get it to make some recommendations on how we should structure registrations this year to maximize our uptake. So when I go and put that query in, the tool goes and knows what to look for. It'll go and pull all the appropriate data that it needs, registrations, the times, and the volumes of those registrations. It'll then ingest all that data and essentially apply its reasoning over the top of it, and hopefully make some really good recommendations on how we can maximize uptake. So that's got all of the information that it needed, and now it's going to go and make those recommendations as I requested. So interestingly, it's saying I should launch a little bit earlier than I'd previously done last year. It's looking at cancellations. It's looking at everything from early bird incentives and discounts and things, and it's making some really interesting recommendations to me here on how I should structure my registration launch. Then after that, it goes through and gives me all of the detail that I'll require here, everything about all of those recommendations and what that means. So there's a lot of really deep and valuable information here that it's making available to me with 1 or 2 quick questions and prompts that I've put in there. So let's run the same kind of query, but let's this time look at its survey data. Survey is one of those things that oftentimes you collect so much data, both qualitative and quantitative, but it's actually actioning that data that makes it a little bit trickier. So I'm going to get it to now go and look at survey data and actually make some recommendations around the agenda and the program based on the feedback that's available to it. So like last time, it's going to go and run the queries to get the information and the survey data. It's going to put all that together and hopefully make some great recommendations based on what my attendees are saying. So again, it's pulled all the information that it needed and it's making some recommendations. It's telling us that presenters are the strength here, and with really excellent ratings there. Content depth seems to be a bit of an issue though. So the presenters are doing well, but the actual content depth, and we might need to include an advanced stream, for example. So there's a lot of really good recommendations to be made here. And one thing I'm really excited about, and customers are getting a lot of value out of it, is the ability to actually use this tool, not just post-event, but actually during the event itself. Day one's just wrapped, it's 5 p.m. Using Planner Assistant to go and look at the survey data collected that day, the check-in data, all of the data available to it, and make recommendations on how to improve the attendee experience for day 2. And that means iteration is no longer annual. You can actually improve much more rapidly and ensure that the attendee experience rather is fantastic on day 2 before people go home potentially unhappy as well. So there's a lot of value in here around what this tool can do, but essentially what it's doing is it's giving planners the ability to interact with the millions of different data points they have in their event, just naturally that they collect as part of an event management process, interact with it in a natural language and get genuine actionable insights out of the data that they can use to improve their event, not just year to year, but actually on the fly as well. Great, so let's now have a look at Attendee Assistant, which is our AI-powered tool that lives within our Attendee app and gives your attendees the ability to interact with all of the data and information that you've made available to them through that app, just by chatting with it and chatting with a chatbot. The really great thing about this is your app is often one of the richest sources of information at your event. It's got your agenda in there, all of your speakers, your sponsors, your attendee lists, and everything your attendees might need to know about your event. The challenge is often getting them to read it and to find it in the right place. So that's everything from the Wi-Fi password through to the agenda and the speakers and what's going on at the keynote. But what the Attendee Assistant tool gives you the ability to do is allow your attendees to just chat and interact and ask questions and get that information out of the app, much like they would ask these questions of you at event time. So here you can see I've got my app. It's got all the information in there. Again, it's got my agenda and all of the different information. And down the bottom is this little option called Ask AI. And what this allows is, as I said, my attendees can just ask questions here. So, tell me about the opening keynote. So that's a question about the agenda. Attendee Assistant knows where to go to look for that information and pops together an answer for me all about that opening keynote session. So that's pulling information from the agenda and putting it right in front of me. What I'll do now is I'll say, any sessions on AI. And this allows me to kind of personalize the experience a little bit and find sessions that are going to be interesting to me based on what's available in the agenda. So it's found 3 sessions there that will have AI topics in there as well. The other cool thing about this is being able to ask about sponsors, speakers, and even other attendees. But, it's also just the little quick basic questions. So I've put the Wi-Fi password in here. But not everyone's going to read that in the button that I've got it in the Attendee app, so I can actually ask that here. What's the Wi-Fi password? And again, Attendee Assistant's going to know where to get that information, and it's going to then pop that straight in front of me. So at its most basic, what this is doing is just allowing your attendees to interact with the app in a much more natural way and get the answers that they need without having to know where to go and where to navigate. And hopefully what it means for you as planners is that you're getting a lot less of those annoying questions at event time that you've already put in the app for your attendees. So finally, let's have a look at Content Assistant. Content Assistant is our AI-powered writing tool within EventsAir that allows planners to create copy and content and all of the written text and content they need for their event in anywhere that's front-facing, and have that follow the brand and the guidelines and the style and the tone that they use across their event. So right now I'm looking at my invite email. This is something I've drafted up or potentially had Content Assistant draft up. And within here, anywhere you build content in EventsAir, in emails like we're looking at now, or landing pages for registration sites, or even surveys and other links, you've got this AI tool up in the top right that allows you to generate the content for you and allows you to summarize, improve, simplify, expand, and all those other things that we might want to do, including changing the tone and the style. Now, whenever I get it to generate or tweak my content, it's following my guidelines and my rules. So if I head over to the setup panel, you'll see I've given it all of my tone and style settings. I've told it who my audience is and what kind of event it is, as well as giving it a brief summary. And it takes all of that into context so that the copy and the content that it's drafting is in keeping with all of that. So coming back to comms now, if I, for example, wanted to add in some text here, it's going to follow those guidelines really, really closely to make sure it's writing in a tone and a style that I would expect. You'll also notice the ability to translate all of these to these different languages as well. So if you're running events in multiple different languages and regions, the ability to translate to multiple different languages directly through here is incredibly valuable and quick and easy to do. And again, retains that tone and style guidance that you've given it as well. So that's Content Assistant. It's essentially giving planners the ability to quickly and easily generate all of that front-facing content in a consistent, branded, and styled manner, to generate all of that so that we're not spending our life writing emails or copy or content, but having our tool do that for us.
Great. Thanks so much for that, Tom. We're now joined by Renee Elliott, our VP of Product. Renee has actually been with EventsAir for over 25 years, so she is an absolute guru in all things event planning. Welcome, Renee. Next up, we want to talk a little bit about what's coming up for our Air Intelligence suite. So what have we got planned for Attendee Assistant?
The next stage of Attendee Assistant is really getting into personalization. It's going to be able to recommend to attendees who they should meet at the event based off interests or things that they want to get out of the event, and also sessions. So what sessions should I be at? And that's really important for an event that has a really large agenda. Sometimes it's very overwhelming to know what to be at. And the same with, who I should meet with. It's really important to get the most out of those networking opportunities.
And I imagine it would work for sponsors and exhibitors as well.
Absolutely. Understanding who you are as an attendee can really help with that process of telling you who are the most influential partners to go and connect with.
Yeah, that sounds really good. So hyper-personalization is what we're working towards.
Absolutely.
Great. And looking at Planner Assistant, what's the next phase there?
The next phase is about taking action. We see that as being a really important step for the feature. Getting insights is really important to really analyze data, but the next logical step is how do we enable it to do more for our customers.
That sounds like where the real-time savings will come. What's an example? Something like if I was analyzing my registration data year on year, perhaps it would tell me that I had less medical professionals coming along this year. What could it do with that sort of information?
That's really powerful, because then I could start to analyze what happened last year with my medical professionals. So I could look at survey data. What did that group of people tell me about the event? What did they find really interesting about the event? What sort of, survey results, what sessions do they really enjoy? And I could take that information and get some really key points that could enable me to go and market to medical professionals who perhaps have not registered for this year but did last year, or even looking more broadly at your database and understanding how do I re-engage with those that group of people and get them to register.
And could Planner Assistant actually send the emails?
It could help you draft the email, and it could then, by asking it to say that you want to send this particular email content, plan the email in our planned communications, and you could tell it exactly when and on what day you want it to send.
Wow, that sounds incredible. And what about during the event? Last year, we have an annual conference, and I was trying to keep up with all the session survey data, but it's really hard to collate that information while you're running an event at the same time. If I got Planner Assistant to look at, say, the day one surveys, what could I do with that information, or what could I get Planner Assistant to do with that information?
Well, the first thing you could do is ask the Planner Assistant for some key insights and recommendations, based off day one's data. Tell me what should I really know? And what could I perhaps put into action for the next day? So that's going to really give you a good set of kind of recommendations. But perhaps that's something like the feedback from the Q&A or the survey is about just time. Perhaps the questions aren't being asked, they're running out of time, there's not enough space within the agenda to really action those queries from attendees. You could have Planner Assistant then make some changes to your agenda based off that. And obviously you as the planner would be able to say, cut down sessions by 5 minutes, maybe take 15 minutes off lunch and create a session at the end of the day that's purely around, questions and answers. And so it will be able to make those changes to the existing sessions on that day and create that new session at the end of the day.
Wow, and push it all to the app?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fantastic. And the other thing we know is it can be time consuming to set up an event when you're learning new technology. Sometimes learning new technology is a bit daunting and can add a little bit of time there. Can Planner Assistant help with that?
Absolutely. It is really a time-consuming process. There's a lot of moving parts to an event, and if they're not in, your event configuration, then it doesn't happen, magically. So the Planner Assistant will definitely help with that process. It could take something like knowing that you have, let's say, 25 different registration options that you now need to get into the platform. You could tell it what you want to create. Here are my options. Here are the details about that option, even how much they cost. And it would go and actually create all of those for you without having to manually go and enter in one by one.
Sounds like there's a lot of time to be saved. What's next with Air Intelligence?
Well, AI is moving at such a fast pace, so we are going to keep really close to that, but also listen to our customers, understand what they're really looking for, and we'll evolve as we go.
That's great. Thanks so much, Renee. That's a wrap on our AI for the Modern Event Planner and live demo. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you would like to learn more about how EventsAir and our Air Intelligence suite can help you with your events, please sign up for a personalized demo. Additionally, if you'd like to learn more about the state of AI in our industry, check out our AI report. Our speakers are still online, so if you have any last-minute questions, pop them in the Q&A box. Thanks again for joining us.